Okay, you brave souls. God bless you. Okay. Today, the National Shrine presents the 10th talk in the series of Shrine Heritage Talks celebrating the 100 years of worship here at the Basilica National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception. This centenary celebration began on Easter Sunday 100 years ago, and now it begins, the celebration of it is last Easter 2024, and it will conclude on this current year's Easter 2025, which will be April 20th. Today's speaker, Judith Kelly, is the author of the biography, Just Call Me Jerzy, available at our own National Basilica Shrine bookstore, which is closed right now, but you can get it from it either online or if you come back at another time. Judith Kelly is a longtime member of Pax Christi USA from the D.C. metro area. She's traveled to conflict zones on human rights delegations since as way back as the early 1990s. In 2014, Judith was honored with the Peacemaker of the Year award from Pax Christi of Metro DC-Baltimore. Today, Judith will speak on how she came to know Father Jerzy Popiełuszko, the chaplain and martyr of the Polish Solidarity movement. He was a priest beloved by his people. He taught them that non-violent defense of justice was the strongest force against any hatred and oppression. He preached goodness, he preached truth, he preached freedom and love, and that an idea which needs rifles to survive, dies of its own accord. In her research into the life of Father Jerzy, Judith learned that the young priest had twice visited the National Shrine in the 1970s, following his ordination in 1972 in Poland by, I believe, Cardinal Stefan Łazieński, right? Who was imprisoned for so many years by the communists. On his last visit in 1976, our bicentennial year, he celebrated Mass in the Chapel of Our Lady of Good Counsel. We are honored to have Judith with us tonight. I'm thankful for your presence here tonight, and God bless. Thank you.
I'm so happy to be with you tonight. This day is special, not only to the shrine, but to our country. It's Martin Luther King Day. And I think it's a wonderful coincidence, and there are no coincidences, but here I am talking about Jerzy Popiełuszko, a model of nonviolence, on a day we celebrate MLK, another model of nonviolence. I've heard some people say that Jerzy was the Martin Luther King of Poland, or the Romero of Poland. I think he was the Jerzy of Poland, and I want to talk to you about him. My thanks to Dr. Geraldine Rowling, the Shrine Archivist Curator Emerita, who invited me to come. She welcomed the news and the information about Jerzy visiting here. She had no idea, and most people didn't. So I was thrilled when I found that photo, and I'll tell you about that. I'm going to read from my book, Just Call Me Jerzy, and refer to a publication from just this last October from Poland for the 40th year since Jerzy's martyrdom. It's a big year in Poland. Every month they were marking special events to bring his life and witness to the young people that don't remember what it was like during communist times. And I'm also going to talk about a poster that's in front of the podium here. And Jerry Rowling told me that this podium also hosted Lech Wałęsa. How many people know that name? Oh, about 4 or 5. You've heard of the Solidarity movement. Maybe not. It was not only a trade union movement and freedom movement, but a spiritual movement in Poland in the early 80s. And Lech Wałęsa was an electrician who got very involved with the Solidarity movement and led it. And the role of John Paul II is also crucial to this whole story. I first want to teach you his name. That's why I want you to come up closer. The phonetic pronunciation. Jerzy, Jerzy. Not New Jersey, please, but Jerzy, Jerzy Popiełuszko. Popiełuszko. That wuszko comes from the Polish L. A little line through the L is a W sound. So, Jerzy Popiełuszko. Popiełuszko. Who was he? What was he like? I went through a number of publications in the last couple of days, and there were lots of adjectives to describe him. He was very young, he was very thin, small frame, unassuming, shy, humble, quiet, determined, charismatic, committed, courageous, calm, boyish, friendly, cheerful, funny, open, direct. He pledged on his ordination day with his good friend, Father Bogdan Liniewski, we're going to be activist priests. We're going to be out with the people. We're not going to be in the rectory so much. We're going to be out acting in a way that Jesus would act. He asked people to call him just Jerzy, not Father. Look me in the eye, call me Jerzy. I love that. He had health issues. He was not able to keep a full-time parish job. He had them, but he had some kind of condition that didn't allow him to work those long, long hours that priests work, 12-hour days at times. Couldn't do it. So they kept him as a priest, put him in a parish in Warsaw as a resident priest, as if he were retired, and he wasn't even 33 years old at that point. But he helped out with masses. He was in the parish having breakfast when somebody came around saying, there's a strike at the Warsaw Steelworks, and they're asking for a priest to come and do Mass. Who's available? All the other priests had Masses. Jerzy didn't. He said, maybe I could go. And that was the beginning in August of 1980 when he went inside one of the biggest, like 10,000 workers in a factory in Warsaw, and celebrated Mass for the steel workers, the beginning of the Solidarity movement. He fell in love with the workers, they fell in love with him. And he was from a farm background, a very humble background. He understood working people. He loved them, they loved him. And he stayed with them through all of the ups and downs of that movement, including martial law. Pretty soon he was leading, in a sense, spiritually, a movement of people that spread throughout Poland. He's a national hero in Poland. He's really an important figure. And most people here don't know about him. So that's my job, to help you understand who he was. Jerzy emphasized his concern for all Poles when he spoke in an interview. What I do is not political. For me, the pastoral dimension is the most important. I base my sermons on the teaching of Pope John Paul II and of the late Cardinal Wyszynski. My strategy is founded on the fight against hatred, for the dignity of human labor. My weapons are truth and love. I got interested when I went to Poland the first time in 1995. And I was in Krakow, and a priest helped me at a church, and it's a long story, and I'm trying not to go too long, so I'll just say that he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I do Pax Christi, peace and justice, reconciliation." He said, "Oh, well, then you need to know about this priest in Warsaw. When you go to Warsaw, be sure and go to St. Stanisław Kostka Church." And he wrote Jerzy's name in my notebook, and I still have that. And when I went in '96, I found a little booklet with some of his teachings, what had happened to him, how he was beaten to death by security agents who considered him at that time a real threat to the communist regime. My strategy is founded on that. Okay. Throughout his entire time as priest and chaplain to the Solidarity movement, with millions following his words throughout the country, he maintained his commitment to nonviolence. His last public words at the end of the Rosary reflection in Bydgoszcz on October 19th, 1984, are especially memorable given his death at the hands of kidnappers just hours later. Let us pray to be free from fear and intimidation, but above all, free from thoughts of retaliation and violence. Hours later, he was dead. Those were his last public words. That, to me, was a remarkable faith and his willingness to put himself out there to the very end really grabbed me. I went back to Poland several times. I met people that knew about him. I asked what I thought was a simple question. Did he have any contacts in the States? Did he ever go to the States? And one of the priests said, well, yes, he did. He had an aunt in Pittsburgh, I think, but we don't have any details about that. I'm from Pennsylvania. That's my home state. I thought, maybe I could find out something. I would love to know what maybe there were some influences in the U.S. I was just excited and had friends in Pittsburgh who could help me. I ended up finding the family that he stayed with when he came to the U.S. all 4 times, in the mid-'70s and once in the early '80s. Most people in Poland don't even know this. They can't imagine that he got a visa, but he did. His Aunt Mary Kalinowski, rest her soul, did a great thing by, when she went to Poland, she met him for the first time. She was excited that there was a priest in the family. And she said, I invite you to come to the U.S. She arranged for his flight and all the paperwork, which was daunting. But he came the first time in 1974. When I met the family, they showed me some photos, and I was thrilled to see a photo of Jerzy celebrating Mass at Trinity University, right across the way here, in Cooley Chapel. And at the time I thought, I don't know where that is. My friend Mimi, who grew up in Pittsburgh and went to Trinity, she said, oh yeah, that was we had it. We used to have Mass there. And amazing. And it was the day he was there, July 10th, that happened to be my birthday too, and I was like, oh, this is great. This is all these little things that got me excited about, well, maybe I could find some more information. Mostly the photos that they showed me were from '74, but they told me he had come other times, and little by little, and this is from like 2010 on, I found more information, got more photos. Most recently, in an attic in Pittsburgh, I found what would have been thrown out, I think, 14 photo albums that Mary Kalinowski had kept of her travels and Jerzy's travels when she went to Poland, when he came to the U.S. And for all of us who keep a whole box of photos just piled up, Mary was a retired federal worker, an executive secretary. She put notations on the back of every photo with the date and who was in it, and a gold mine, a total gold mine. And I wouldn't be anywhere with this book were it not for Mary Kalinowski. In Poland, they thought maybe he had come one time in 1980 because he kept a journal, but he was here in '74, in '76, like Father Vito said. There's a picture of him in the Mother of Good Counsel Chapel, celebrating Mass. He was at St. Patrick's in New York. He was in Connecticut. He was in Canada. He was in a lot of places. The guy got around. And it became my obsession, in a way, to go and find as many details as I could. So I went to these places. I met the families. I met the friends in Poland and in Canada and in the U.S. And you can read all about it because I put a chronology in here that gives you an idea of him having an opportunity to see a whole other system. Living under communism was pretty restricted. So I think that may have given him some energy when he went back to Poland in 1980 and became this voice of the workers and the people who were looking for freedom through a very dark time. I was just in Poland in October, and this, I don't know if you can see it actually. This poster honors the 40th year, and the words that are really prominent here, Prawda I wolność, truth and freedom. Those were the things that he worked towards the entire time that he was saying these wonderful masses for the country every month from February 82 until August, September 84. This was his cassock that he was found in. If we have time, I'll go into the details of what happened to him the night of October 19th, but it's already 6:27. I want to read a little bit more from my book, and then if people have questions, I'd be happy to. I have a chapter in here called Why Jerzy? Why did I get involved here? Did I ever meet Jerzy? No, but I have no doubt he picked me out of the crowd when I visited his grave for the first time in 1996. As I prayed for less frustration and a better attitude about finding my family in Poland, he must have decided, oh, I know, I'll help her discover her long-lost Krzysztofic relatives tomorrow. She'll be so grateful, she'll take my story to everyone she meets for the rest of her life. Note to Jerzy, thanks, kid, you got your way. I had a wonderful dream about him, and I would like to share that too. This was when I was really having a great deal of frustration. Would I ever finish this book? Would it be out there someplace? When I awake, I feel elated that this encounter, a reassurance after long delays and frustration in publishing this book. To me, meeting a silent Jerzy in a dream is a sign that I must share his story wherever and whenever I can. Jerzy inspires those called by their faith to critique unjust policies and challenge the status quo. Under martial law, Jerzy spoke for millions. In his quiet way, he responded thoughtfully, with caring and compassion. How would the gentle Jerzy respond to the fierce culture wars that rage throughout our world now? In the heat of conflict, we hear harsh words from all sides, conservatives, progressives, and everything in between. In his May 1984 homily, Jerzy said, and I love this quote, "To live in truth is to be in agreement with one's conscience." And he emphasized that the truth unites and binds people together. He encouraged each person to speak and listen with deep respect for others. He sought reconciliation and encouraged dialogue, asking for consistent personal commitment from everyone. All of us. Let us be aware, he said, let us be aware that in demanding the truth from others, we must live the truth. In demanding justice, we must be fair with those who surround us. In demanding courage and fortitude, we too must be valiant and courageous every day. I will just finish with a few tiny thoughts. There is a new documentary series that is being worked on right now by a group in Florida, several episodes, and Jerzy is one of the key. They're trying to talk about the fall of communism and the role of faith. And so it'll be Cardinal Wyszynski, John Paul, Jerzy, and the people of Poland. There's a block in the hallway out there to a couple of people or a family, the Paniczkos, who lived here in the Washington area, who were good friends of Aunt Mary Kalinowski, and probably knew Jerzy quite well, and maybe helped take him around. So I just wanted to remember them, and you can find that brick outside. The latest information from now 40 years of research. The death of Jerzy, which was a terrible thing to happen in Poland, and it shocked people, and it got people to wake up and say, this should never have happened to one of ours and someone that we cared about so much. And it made them work hard towards the transition that was what he wanted for the whole country, the freedom. There were a lot of controversies about, did he actually die the night that he was kidnapped, beaten, thrown in the trunk of a car, thrown into a reservoir with stones attached to his legs? Yes, we think so now. People have had alternative theories that maybe he was taken and held for days and tortured and then thrown in the lagoon. Someone who was doing the autopsy 40 years ago has written a book, and he said, I knew back then the food that he ate that night was just in his stomach when I did the autopsy. If he had been held for days later, it would be a whole different story. So that's kind of wonderful that October 19th, 1984 definitely is the day that we remember what happened to this remarkable priest. Pravda, truth, he was committed to the end at great cost, but always clear that he was following Christ. And wolność, freedom, the long struggle of Poland under Nazi occupation and under Soviet occupation, 40 years, until one courageous, ordinary, extraordinary man, a shy and modest priest, gave his all for the freedom of his country. Jerzy Popiełuszko, presente. Thank you.
Thank you, Judith. There are many people who have come through these doors in 100 years, beginning with the very first pilgrims who were from my diocese of Brooklyn, New York. Before anything existed, there was a tent in this spot on a dirt mole. But famous people, holy people have come through here. Mother Teresa, Saint Mother Teresa of Calcutta, Saint John Paul II, many famous people, political people, leaders of governments. They all remind us in this beautiful sacred place that as beautiful and as sacred as this is, let us never forget that you and I are the church. You and I, God's people. We come here to be nourished, yes, by His word and by His sacrament, but you and I have to be that presence of God in the world today. And I thank Dr. Judith for letting us know a lot about this courageous man, this holy priest, this Alter Christus. But remember, all of us are called to be Alter Christus. God bless you. Guess what? I'm next in line. February 20th, Io sono mio. God bless you, everyone.